Danny, give me the countdown.
10. Good morning and welcome to the fifth quarter, Northern Arizona style. This morning, I'm your host, Danny Neal, and as always, I got my co-host with me, my partner, the guy that's known all over Northern Arizona simply as Coach, Mr. Tyrone Johnson. Good morning, Coach.
Morning, Coach. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. You've been talking crazy even before we came on this morning. You're in a good mood. You're feeling good. You're looking good. And it's Friday the 13th, man.
It
We,
is,
we,
man.
we going to prove this morning that Friday the 13th is a good day.
Absolutely. And like I say, I always get excited to talk with the guest that we had today. So,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
just joyful and, just ready to get into it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's a good segue to what we go to our guests. We ain't gonna spend a lot of time talking about what we do, or what we don't do, whatever the case is. And we're gonna get right into our guests because these are some special guests, man. These um, Mr. Mike and Sarah Cromer, that been in town forever. Mike was born and raised here. His father was the superintendent of schools here. Um, you know, Sturgeon Cromer, he integrated the schools before Brown versus Brown. Sarah's been here. I don't know where you came from, Sarah. So you're going to have to let me know. But, Coach, I'm going to give you the honor of introducing them today, man.
Hey, so our guest today, as you just alluded to, is who we simply call Mr. and Mrs. C, somebody whom, like say, I've admired coming up. I was a Kinsey Cougar, and they were over at South Beaver. And anytime we had to go over to South Beaver, we always wanted to catch a glimpse of Mr. and Mrs. C. And so now in adulthood, I just love the fact that we still have a relationship with them. Mr. C brings me articles. He stops by. Mrs. C always got to get a hug. Every time I see her. So with no further ado, let's bring on our guest this morning, Mr. and Mrs. Mike Cromer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's my fault. I was not born here. My dad went to school here in 1928. Then they went back, graduated in 32. My dad went back to Globe, and my mother went to Wilcoxstadt, and then they got married, and then they ended up in Globe. I was born in Globe, but I'm not a Globeite. I'm a Flagstaff. I got here when I was 5 years old, so I've been here for a long, long time, and Flagstaff is my home. And I love you guys, and this is great.
Yeah. And we definitely claim you as Flagstaff, no doubt.
No doubt.
Grandmother. And I am Tyrone's grandmother.
I was going to bring that up.
Dearly, and even though he remembers me teaching at South Beaver, I taught at Kinsey for a long time, and his mother was one of my students, and his grandmother was one of the classiest ladies that's ever lived in Flagstaff, Arizona.
That's right. That's
Well, I
right. Miss Viola
appreciate
was
that.
something else. She was something else.
Tyrone, my kids, so there.
Yes, indeed.
Yes,
Yes, indeed. I proudly take that.
Right. So, Mr. C, you were sharing with us a little earlier about some books that you come up with. And I'm going to give you a minute to talk about those.
Go get one up and show them.
Yeah.
Here, I'll
This, I've been in the Arizona, member of the Arizona Historical Society for, I don't know, 50 years or so. And this one, hold it up, Sarah. This one is about sports in Arizona, especially African-American, the first African-American to play at ASU, and then some Hispanic softball teams and some other women that were early pioneers in sports in Arizona. So I bought you, Danny, and Tyrone. I got a couple of extra copies. I ordered them, and I want you to have them. And the
Thank
reason
you very much.
is my dad, and he had an African for him named Johnson, the greatest athlete. And Hoss Johnson could not when he graduated from Globe High School in 1934-35, he was not allowed to go to NAU. He was had graduated from North Dakota University. Well, Haas was offered a scholarship, believe this, in the 1930s to the University of Michigan and to the University of Wisconsin in the Big Ten. But Mr. Stevenson had graduated and got him to go to the University of North Dakota. And so he left Globe High School and went to the University of North Dakota, where he is in their University Hall of Fame for playing not only football, but baseball, and ran track. He also, after he graduated in World War II with one of the tires, a young man after World War II, Haas Johnson, and then on their way back to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And he retired out of the military, and then he got his degree in education, and he taught school as well. And these are of the African American community that nobody knows about. It's not in this book that I showed you either. This is my dad's greatest yet ever seen. 1930s, he served in World War II, was a Tuskegee Airman.
You told me.
So these are that need to be put out, and people need to understand.
Right. And that's one thing about you, is all the knowledge, all the history that you and Mrs. C have. The other last program we had Russell Woods on, who is just the king of research. Him and Bob Oberhart, they go through stacks and stacks of stuff. But you don't have to do that. You have all this history in your head. And just Flagstaff, what was it like in Flagstaff coming up as a teacher in the areas that you were teaching in?
Okay, let me go back to my dad one more time.
Okay.
The football team in 1934 traveled to play in Phoenix, okay? Mm-hmm. And they got down there, and after the game, and my dad drove the bus, and this was a long haul from Globe to Phoenix. Now it takes 45 minutes. They went in to eat, and they wouldn't serve Haas Johnson. They said he has to eat in the kitchen. My dad loaded the team up on the bus, and they drove back to Globe without eating. He said, we either all eat together or we go back to Globe. So I think that's what was built into me as a child growing up. And, racism is a learned behavior. And
you're not born a bigot.
Yeah. And so I think that I was raised in that everybody, we're all friends and we're neighbors. So anyway, I wanted to throw that in.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I guess I was blessed to be able to have taught at South Beaver School for 35 years. And Sarah taught at Kinsey and South Beaver. So the families on the south side in Old Town, Brandon Homes, they're not only are we taught their children, but they're a part of our family. They're our friends. We love them as much as we love our own family. Right. And so that's how we feel.
We're lucky.
Oh, we're lucky. We're the blessed ones, I promise you.
We're lucky to be around all the families. And there were some great athletes. I'm going to speak for in South Beaver School.
Uh-huh. There was great athletes. Who were some of the great athletes that came out of South Beaver that you coached?
And the last time I talked, I forgot Davin Gray. Davin Gray was on my basketball team on the starting team in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade.
Really?
He handled the ball. My mother used to go to the games and watch him. She said, he's like a magician out there when he was 9 years old. I mean, he really was. And I hate to start mentioning names because I'm going to leave somebody out, and they see this, they're going to be upset with me. But Lonnie Ganner when I started, and all of these kids, Dewey Doherty, and then you just work your way down, and at Kinsey School, Greg Turner, and all of the the
He was one of
Joe
my kids.
and the Joes and all of these great, wonderful athletes and girls as well. I mean, there were so many girls and boys that, you know, we were like a family, and Kinsey was like a family. And you know, we at one time, and I guess this is bragging, the South Beaver boys basketball team went 4 years undefeated without losing a game and winning the Letterman's tournament. And somebody
That's not bragging.
said, Coach Mike, I said, no, I'm not. I said, when you're running thoroughbreds against mules, it's pretty dang easy.
So I guess that's the secret. We all need to get a few thoroughbreds, and then maybe we can win some state championships, huh?
Oh, dear. But you know,
It was fun.
It was so much fun.
Just fun with these kids. Love them.
And
And
it's still fun with you guys.
Mother from Kinsey. You can't forget Duck, Willard Reeves,
That's right. That's right.
and the Joyces, and of
Right.
course, Greg Turner, one of
Yes.
my favorite people in the world. And these kids not only were great athletes, they were great people.
Good.
Right.
Were-
Hey,
I mean, I could take my girls to cheerleaders anywhere in Flagstaff, and they were classy, never did anything wrong. They were wonderful.
You know what I forgot? You know, Terrence Sims and Eric Gray played for NAU.
Larry
Right.
Johnson.
And Larry Johnson from Kinsey played in NAU and coached. I mean, there's just I don't want to get into names because I'm going to leave somebody out. I don't want to offend anybody, because all the boys and girls that attended Kinsey and South Beaver School, and we feel like we're like this. The two schools are like this. They have different names, but we were joined at the hip.
And you know, you also had Emerson in there that used to take care of the other kids from over in Old Town.
Right. And I went to Emerson as well when I was a kid. And we lost a Letterman's tournament in 1952 to South Beaver School.
So that's why you went to teach over there, huh?
Hey, if you can't beat them, join them, huh? So,
Yeah.
Mr. C, coming up throughout, what's one of the most memorable games you coached in or that you saw as you were here in Flagstaff?
Okay. Are you talking elementary? Like when I was coaching elementary school?
Sure, yes.
Kinsey one time. And I think Melvin Hanna and Eric, all those kids were on our team. And then there was Greg Turner and all them. And I think, now this is elementary basketball, 6-minute quarters. We beat Kinsey on their home court 72-70. And
Oh, wow.
it was up and down the court. I stayed out of their way. Just go play basketball and have fun. And it was wild, you know. And I know when we've been around him, Eric and those guys teased Greg, but you know, and Greg ended up playing football at the University of Arizona and was a defensive back, intercepted John Elway while he was down there.
Right.
And,
Right.
you know, that was a memorable game. And then we were playing Weitzel one time in the championship for the Letterman's tournament, and we were behind 10 with 2 minutes to go. Now that's a big deficit for sixth graders.
Right.
Caught 'em. And I called a timeout and I said, get after him, you know, just press him, do everything you can. And we stole the ball. We tied it up with about 10 seconds to go, got the ball out of bounds, went down. I forget who made a shot, and we won. And the principal of and bless his heart, he played for my dad in Globe High School, Frank Casaboom at Weitzel School said, and he said, well, the best team didn't win. And I said, well, why don't you look up at that scoreboard here for an hour, but it's going to say South Beaver won against Weitzel School. Anyway,
Oh, that's good.
Well, do I get a turn? And my favorite one? Okay,
Yes.
I've been to 9 Super Bowls and I don't even remember who played. Okay, I'm not a sports person, but I tell you what, I was at Kinsey and we were playing at the Letterman's tournament, and
His
Homer
name.
was our coach, and we were winning. And we were playing another school in town, and they stopped the game. The other coach did, and demanded to see James Joyce's birth certificate, because they said he's at least 2 or 3 years older than these kids. He shouldn't be out here. I tell you what, I was living.
I don't blame you.
And
I don't blame you. And
James
James is,
was just a big, neat kid, and I loved him.
Oh yeah.
They should have.
Absolutely.
Cromer recruited them out of there because they lived down by South Beaver.
They
so,
recruited him.
so it was recruiting going on even back then, huh?
And so, but I ended up with Stanley in my class, and I love Stanley, and it was so sad when he passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and he was a musician. When he was in my sixth grade class, I paid for his piano lessons, and but it was so sad. Stanley was such a wonderful young man.
Right. Yes.
I don't know. Loved every kid we taught at South Beaver. It didn't matter, and there was, I don't know.
And I'm sad because so many people have moved away.
Right.
When I was at Luther's funeral, I saw more of our kids from South Beaver and Kinsey that day than we've seen here in Flagstaff for years.
Right.
And
It's where the
we
jobs
miss
are.
them.
Right. Right. Yo.
I'd like to go back, you guys, and it was before you were born, and I think you mentioned it last time. When I was a kid, there was the Flagstaff Theater on North San Francisco Street, and all the African Americans, Native Americans, Oriental Americans, Hispanic Americans had to go to that theater, and they couldn't go to the Orpheum. And then later on in the mid 50s, they opened the Orpheum up, and the children that were minorities had to sit in the balcony. And I think one of you said that your parents remembered that, or grandparents remembered that, and so, and we even have a deed, and I've got to dig it out, where it shows that north of the tracks on this deed, that if you were one of the groups that I mentioned, they could not own a house on the north side of the tracks. And so, we've come a long ways, but there's more ways to go. We need to remember that we're all fellow men and women, and we love each other, and we need to take care of each other.
Amen. We definitely agree with that. So we talked a lot about elementary. What was the best high school game you ever saw?
Well, my goodness, if I'm comparing teams, I think you can't compare teams. They're a different era. The Flag High basketball team, Charles Potee was a member, Albert Montoya, Buttram, and Bobby Blair, and those guys, they won the 1955 championship. But then didn't Doug Baker's team win it with Larry Johnson and those guys in 7? Those guys were great. Teenie Allison and James Dugan, and those guys were on another team that in 62, they lost the state championship by 1 point to Tucson High School. They were another great team. And so with 75, I guess, was a team, wasn't it, that Larry played?
75.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to compare because all of their different eras, different styles of game. And then Rick Smith's 4 state championship football teams. Out in Coconino, they've won some state championships in basketball and football. So, and I ran the chains from 1961 when I got out of the Army till about 1995. And there are just so many great athletes and great people and coaches that came out of Flagstaff. So I can't pinpoint one game, but it was really, really a neat time.
Well, I tell you, with that 1975 championship team that Larry played on, because that's my uncle, he always tells me how they would have did this and that and the other, and I always tease him. I say, the only reason y'all won is because you dropped down levels. That's the only reason you won.
Well, I've heard some of the other guys say that too. I've heard some people, and my friends say that were older, and I said, wait a minute, they had to play where they were put. Yep. And they were undefeated. That's the only undefeated basketball team in the history of Flagstaff High School men's sports.
Yeah, he always say, man, we had SWAT, which is almost 7 feet. We had Joe, we had James, we had me. And I mean, just as he go to naming off people, you understand that was a historic team. And whatever level they were at, they were going to be nice.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. And, boy, I tell you, it's hard to compare different eras. I mean, you compare the NBA with Bill Russell and those guys, and try to go back in the 50s and 60s. I mean, everything's different, but the teams at that time were absolutely fabulous.
Right, and you talk about eras. There was a time frame here in Flagstaff where we had these influx of D1 players. We had Donnie Joe Hickman come out in '73. We had Greg Turner, we had Larry Johnson, we had Stan Gill, we had David Winsley. We had all these great D1 players come out just like in this 10-year 10, 15-year time frame. Why do you think that was?
I don't, you know what? I think it was sport was emphasized and that academics as well. And I think that it went downhill. We used to have elementary sports because I coached boys basketball, girls basketball, at times volleyball for the girls, and then track. All of a sudden they did away with it. And all those kids that you mentioned participated. Then they went to junior high and they got to play in junior high the sports, and they went, and it was a feeder system on up to Flag High or Coconino. And when you do away with sports in the elementary school, it's not only sports, it's teaching you about sportsmanship, about team effort, about being a team player, and then basic fundamentals. And when they did away with this, I thought I saw, it happened about 21 years ago. I thought I saw a drop there for a while. Then the city had to take over the sports, the basketball, and then there was flag football. But we had flag football in elementary school. And I think that all the teams that you talk, they played elementary sports. And that Letterman's tournament was for blood. I mean, you played, this was a big deal. I've seen 2,000 fans at Flag High or Coconino High School watching the finals in those teams.
Right, quick, explain that Letterman's tournament, because I think a lot of people don't know. I know what it was about, but Coach Johnson probably never heard of this in his life. I'm just serious. Have you ever heard of that, Coach Johnson?
I had not heard of it.
Okay, the Letterman's tournament was started right after World War II, and the only schools in Flagstaff were Dunbar, South Beaver, Emerson, and the training school, and the Catholic school. And they had a Letterman's tournament. And the Flag High Letterman started, if you were a Letterman, the Flag High Letterman went down and they helped coach the team. Some of them were the coach, or they helped the teachers coach the teams. And it started in the late 1940s and the 50s. And Flag High School Letterman put it on. Now all the elementary schools participated. And then as my dad built, he built Marshall, he built Sechrist, he built Kenzie, he built Mount Eldon, he built Thomas, Weitzel, all Christians and all the schools. Well, they all had teams. And so it really became a big deal. And you participated in that Letterman's tournament, and it was quite a deal. It lasted over 2 weeks, and it was a basketball thing. And then we used to have an elementary Kiwanis track team meet.
Yeah, yes, I remember that.
Meet, and the boys and girls, I coached the track team, and we played
in AU
over at NAU, and all the schools in town participated.
Right.
Encouraged, the kids loved that. And then we had flag football, and all of the kids participated in that from all over town. And then they had the girls volleyball and girls basketball, and everybody participated. And so, boy, I tell you what, the kids were fired up. And when they were in 5th and 6th grade, they wanted
and if you had somebody like him, he got them fired up.
He's fired up now. Indeed. I'm fired up. I'm ready to play.
And Mrs. C, I know that you feel strongly about the sports being in elementary. How can we get back to that with current budget constraints and everything else? What does FUSD need to do?
Well, there's money. You can find the money. I mean, they paid the coaches $50 for the season. I did it a couple of years. They said, don't pay me. But we need to say that this is good for boys and girls. It teaches not only the rules of sports, but about life, about being helpful to your fellow person.
I'm going to get in here too. Another thing it does is it challenges the kids with their academics. If you don't do your studies, you're not going to play. And to me, that was a great way to get kids excited about school and going to school. And I'll tell you right now, coaches are real important, but this is one of my favorite stories. It's been years ago, but Mike was coach of the track team. And our son was in a horrible car wreck, and he was going to University of Arkansas. And so Mike had to fly back there. We didn't know if he was going to make it. and track was on. So he called home and said, Sarah, you have to be the track coach. I'm getting paid and blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah.
$50.
Yeah, $50. But anyhow, I became the track coach and we practiced every night. And I am, as I told you, I am not a sports person at all. I'm an athletic gnat. But anyhow, I had all of these kids and we practiced every day. And I would do stuff like pretend like you put super glue on that baton. Don't you dare drop that. And I would have Dwayne Rodriguez and Caesar Polk start out the calisthenics and all this. And I made darn good cookies. And so we had treats every night after school. And I would say, it doesn't matter if we win, you're still the prettiest girl out on that team. Now you do that. Well, come to find out, we won first place in everything that
Boys
year.
and girls.
Boys and girls.
Wow.
So I'm gonna give that credit to the coach there.
And the cookies, the coach and the cookies.
Yeah, anyhow, they came to, of course, at the end of school, they came to give out the presentations. And so they said, well, this year South Beaver has the coach of the year for all of Flagstaff. And so I was sitting by him in the bleachers and he started to stand up and they said, Sarah Cromer. He doesn't. Oh, that was.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Story about Reggie Coleman. Would you like to tell her? Would you like her to tell that story about Reggie again?
Sure. We got a minute. Yeah, we got time. Yes.
Well, okay. We were at a secret school, and Mike had his A team and B team, and he was coach for both. So I sat up in the bleachers with one team while he was playing. And so one of my kids happened to be Reggie Coleman, said, Mrs. C, may I please go to the bathroom before we have to play? And I'm going, of course, you just be careful, go on the sides and go out. He's the neatest kid in the world. I didn't worry about him. A couple of minutes later, I looked up and there was this lady across the thing. She happened to be Anglo, but she had her finger in his face. And I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? If this starts a commotion, the superintendent will find out and everything. So I ran down to the other side and I looked at her and I said, excuse me, has my son done something? And her chin hit the floor because he had an afro out to here. Oh, no, it's just fine. And he looked up and said, thanks, Mom. And so
I think
that's you know what, that is so awesome. We are running short on time and we could talk to you guys all day long. When we get together. What's that?
One of his football teams, we were playing for the championship, and all of a sudden, tell him.
We were playing up at City Park. Remember up there, we played flag football championship, and it's really exciting and everything. So this little boy, he came up to Sarah on our team.
He left the field.
He said he picked up a rock.
And he said, is this an igneous rock or is it a sedimentary?
You're doing your job, Miss C.
You are, yes,
you're doing your job, Miss C.
You guys, these books. Tyrone, where are you guys this morning?
I'm over at Hal Jensen Recreation Center, but I'm getting ready. I got a tea time at 8:30, so I'm getting ready to run to the golf course.
Okay, good.
Okay, and I am headed to Phoenix. We got a tournament, and I'm going down just a day early.
Okay.
Can you bring this whole thing?
So can we get with you on Monday or something?
Yeah, we'll come by Monday.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll both be here at the rec center about 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I'll be on time, Coach.
Which Jensen?
At Hal Jensen.
Yes.
We'll find you.
Okay, we right by Coco.
Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. C, thank you guys so much. We will have you back because I know this could be a 5, 6, 7 hour show with you guys. And we don't have to tell you how much we love you. And
I think it would be better is to be maybe in my backyard with tea or coffee and good cookies and just sit and talk. But
we can do that.
We can do that too.
And thank you for everything you've done for the community, not just athletics, but for the community. You've opened doors, you've made people embrace each other, and that's what life should be. We embrace each other and love each other.
And you are examples for our children coming up. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, thank you guys. Even though Coach said we don't have to tell you how much we love you, we just want you to know. We want to give you your flowers while we can. We love you so much and appreciate everything that you guys has done for us personally and for the community. So thank you. Appreciate you.
Your mother, and tell her I love her.
I will.
And just know that anything that we've done or anything, it's done on your shoulders because you've lifted us up and supported us and the wind under our wings. We love you guys. This won't be the last time you be on the show. Have a great weekend, and we love you guys.
Yeah, we love you.
Drive safely and hit them long and straight.
Yes, indeed, we'll do. And you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Julie wanting you to get a secret to the Dahlia, so we'll have to get together on that as well.
You guys, thank you so much.
No, thank you. All right.
Bye-bye.
Good job. All right, Coach. That was a good show, man. This is why we started this for shows like this, and that's a feel-good show.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I say, anytime we get a chance to sit up and just chop it up like that and with some people we love and admire, it's just special. And just the content and the history and just the knowledge base that they both have. I mean, you can't get that in any corner store, book, or anything like that. And so to actually have them embrace us and, you know, bless us by coming on the show, it's just a special moment.
Right. And for me, it's really special because I know a lot about what they're talking about. You don't know nothing about what they're talking about half the time. You sit there like, what is he talking about? You know, because when we talk about 72, 73, what year was you born, Coach?
I was born in 73.
Oh, you know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there. I was born in 73. I'm ready.
You all right.
72 may just be a memory, but 73, I'm ready.
That's good stuff, man. Well, hey, it's been real. Friday the 13th, like I say, it started off great. We've proven that Friday the 13th can be a very, very awesome day with friends and family. And Coach, I want you to go out there, like Mr. C said, hit them long, hit them straight. I don't know what he's talking about, but I just know, hey, just hit it to the hole, man. And
that's it, man. And you, safe travels to you as well. And before we go, want to give a little shout out to the Flag Hoops boys team. They got to participate on Picture Sunday, man. And so I'm proud of them.
Yeah, man. And I want to give a shout out. I'm going to flex again every morning. I got to flex a little bit. I got that little JV middle school team with little Jabbar Nichols and a bunch of these other guys. They allowed me and a couple girls on my team, Layla Myerson and Mackenzie Mason, to coach them. Went through the whole season undefeated. And yesterday won the city JV championship. So shout out to them JV boys and all the young men that got out there and worked so hard all year long to play. Coach, I'm a champ, baby. I can take a picture today.
You are champ. And if you wouldn't have cut me off, I was gonna give you a shout out too, but you just cut me off and you just want to do it yourself. So hey man, look, I ain't got time to fool with you. I'm on the clock. Hey, I don't know.
How you on the clock and you finna go golfing? How you on the clock?
I gotta get to the course.
Tea time.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
So I don't know what else you're doing today besides driving. I don't know what anybody else doing today. All I know is they ain't got to go home.
But you gotta leave here. See you.